I believe NeNe never cared for Candy because she felt like, ready, are you ready? Yes. Ready, are you ready? Yes. What's going on? Yes, NeNe, okay? Beneath the elite.
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
So I wanted to come and review the interview that Carlos King did with the one and only Lanithia Leaks on his podcast. I think it was a great interview. This is part one of the interview, and I just want to give, some of my thoughts. I kind of fell asleep on a little bit of it, but if I have some holes in the story, then I review it next time. NeNe looks like money, okay? NeNe came out with her, what was that? It's not even a powder blue. It's like I don't even know what color blue that was. With her little feathers. I said, I need to make me a jacket like that. Okay, NeNe, I like that, but I would do that in black. I'm gonna make me a jacket with feathers, but in black. NeNe, she really, really looks good. I'm gonna be reading from my notes because I took notes. I can't remember all of this stuff off the top of my head. It was an hour and 30 minutes for the interview, which it was a great interview. It's nice to see NeNe back. She said that, Carlos said that he had asked NeNe to come on the show prior to this time, but she said she wasn't ready. She was ready today, okay? You can tell that she looks like she is relaxed, maybe more pulled together, because at one point NeNe was, kind of disheveled, with the Bravo case and everything, lawsuit. So NeNe looked like she was pulled together. She looked really, 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 really nice, really beautiful. She looked really nice. So she says she doesn't watch the show. She watched clips of the show, but she doesn't watch the show. She says that she built the house and, the house is crumbling, I guess, without her. So it's kind of hard for her to watch something that she started deteriorate. Carlos gives NeNe her flowers, basically letting her know that if it wasn't for NeNe, there would be no Real Housewives franchise. Yes, there was already Orange County, and yes, there was already, I believe, New York, and then I think it was Atlanta, and I think New Jersey thereafter. But Lanithia, let's be real. And I did watch New York in the beginning seasons, up until I think either Bethany left or Jill left, one of the two. But when Atlanta came on, Atlanta was like she said, it was new. It was a new show. We hadn't seen anything like it before, and it was about black women. And I wanted to see it. I wanted to see the fashions, okay? I wanted to see all the totals come up on the screen. I wanted to see all the designers, okay? I loved it in the beginning. NeNe put the Real Housewives of Atlanta on the map. Period, point blank. She did say, though, when the season first started, she wasn't being herself. And after a while, maybe about, she said 3 weeks in, she realized that, this is not me. I need to be authentically me. And she didn't know how the audience would perceive her. She's from, she says originally from Queens, but she's from Athens. And she had a southern accent. She didn't know how people would perceive her, but being authentically herself was the best thing she could have ever done. it was the best thing that she could have ever done. And that goes to show you, when you be yourself, the people that are meant to be there for you will be drawn to you. Was Sheree being herself? You know, naturally, I think I'm all over the place. Look, y'all, I'm gonna be all over the place because I just want to get my thoughts on, you know, whatever. I think that in the beginning, when Sheree was going through that divorce with Bob, I don't think that Sheree was being authentically herself. That's just my opinion, and you know, Sheree's my girl. But I think Sheree was putting on a facade. I really believe in the beginning she was putting on a facade like everything was okay when it really, really wasn't. I really believe that. And NeNe, and she said it herself, she had to be authentically herself. She had nothing else to fall back on. She couldn't pretend. Sheree had this massive house. Deshaun had a massive house. Lisa Wu. Kim was wearing all this jewelry from Big Papa and everything. She didn't have that. So the only thing she had was to be herself. And that worked out for her 100-fold. 100-fold. So then Carlos talked about how Sheree left NeNe off of her birthday list. And she finally admitted that she left NeNe off the list. Honestly, when it aired, even I knew that Sheree had left NeNe off the list. You're on the same cast as this woman, and you don't know that she's coming to the party. You forget her name. No, I already knew that that's what it was, but Sheree finally admits it. And she said it was an oversight back in the day, but nobody fell for it. And that's when I guess that's when the real NeNe showed up.
We really want you to come in. It was an oversight.
It's no oversight.
Oh yeah, please come in.
I want to come in. The security need to pull me to the side. That shit ain't about to happen.
Yeah, NeNe. That's the old NeNe. That's the old NeNe. Okay. Yes, with the brown wig. Okay, don't play with NeNe. But she left her off the list, and NeNe said that was the best thing that could have ever happened, because that's when she pretty much got her stardom. NeNe feels like she and Kim were the stars, and Sheree, you know, she had her moments, but she really wasn't a star. Remember a while back, NeNe talked about how they didn't even want to let Sheree be on the show, but NeNe went to bat for her. Sheree may never admit it, and every time NeNe says something about it, Sheree, you know, doesn't thank her. Sheree's like, I got on the show because of myself. But Kim Zolciak always thanks NeNe. You know, you helped me to get on the show. You know, she pays a homage to her. She always thanks NeNe. But Sheree, she won't do it. I do believe that when NeNe says that the show didn't want to initially pick up Sheree because they thought she was boring, I believe that. I don't think Sheree's boring. I think Sheree is naturally quiet until you kind of like get her wrong. I think she's like a quiet, shy lady until you say something or do something that kind of makes her blow up. So probably in her interview, she didn't give, you know, a lot of personality. Sheree said she got on the show based on her own, I guess, her own interview and everything. And she was the one that first got the show started. Was Sheree as explosive as NeNe and Kim? No. And then to be fair, Sheree was going through a divorce with Bob. So it was kind of different for her to be all just out free and about when she's dealing with this situation. But NeNe and Kim, they were the stars in the first season. That's the truth. That's the truth. They were fun. They would have fun. NeNe and Kim would play a lot. You know, Kim sitting up there buying Cadillac with a cash a check. Thank you, Big Papa. Money, cash money. bought the Cadillac off the lot. So they were fun girls. I enjoyed the first season. NeNe felt as though the ladies thought that she was the underdog, that they wouldn't like her, that, you know, they don't really like her, that they are going to be the stars. And it didn't happen that way. It really didn't. But I think that speaks to NeNe's authenticity. I think NeNe was really being herself. I really believe so. Carlos asked NeNe, you know, did she have an ego? NeNe says she didn't. Now let me just say this, and you know I like NeNe. NeNe's my girl. But I think after a while, when NeNe started to get on, you know, when she went to California and was in those shows and everything, I think NeNe began, I'm sorry, to develop an ego. That's just my opinion. She may not see it, but as a viewer, she changed because NeNe was fun. NeNe was the fun girl back then. But then after she, you know, started being on these shows, scripted shows, she paid them ladies dust. And you can see it. It was very, 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 very obvious that NeNe had changed. She doesn't want to use the word ego, then we don't have to use the word ego. But NeNe definitely changed. But she said everybody grows. But I don't think it was the type of growth, because she was happy at first when she was getting on the show, but then when they were canceled and everything, oh, NeNe changed again. Okay? She changed again. So, I mean, to her point, she's not going to admit that she had an ego. She's not going to admit that. She also says that the show changed season 5 when Kenya and Portia came to the show. Mainly Kenya. And she feels like when she was on the show, when it was NeNe, Deshawn, Lisa, Sheree, and Kim, it was all about reality. It was about her relationship with Greg, Sheree's divorce with Bob, Lisa and Ed, you know, Deshawn and Eric, even though Eric really didn't show up on the show, and Kim and Big Papa and her kids. It was all about reality. What they showed is what was going on in their lives. But then when Kenya came on, it was all about storylines. And do I really believe that? I kind of believe it a little bit, and let me tell you why. Because I feel like how Drew is now, that's how Kenya was when she came on the show. I just believe that. It was like a acting gig for her. I really believe that. If you go back and look at the seasons, you know, it was like an act, like a job for her. It was a job. Yes, it was I won't say it was a job for NeNe and them, because it wasn't a job to them. They were really housewives, you know, with the exception of Kim. When Kenya came on the show, the dynamics did kind of change. Just a little bit. I don't think NeNe is lying about that. She said that's her opinion, and I kind of agree with that. It changed a little bit because as we have gone on to see, Walter was not really a relationship for Kenya. It was fake, allegedly. It was fake. It was a fake relationship. So Kenya did what she had to do to secure the job. You know, and then Kenya was from California. She was from California. So to her coming to Atlanta, it was a job for her. So I think it did kind of change just a little bit. It did change. It did change. It was about doing things to stay on the show. And it was real. And I think that's why it was so successful in the beginning, because it was reality. It was the true, raw reality. The same with New York Housewives. It was reality for them. The same with New Jersey. It was the reality for them, especially Teresa. I mean, a lot of people don't like Teresa, but I like Teresa. So y'all may think I'm crazy, and I have my reasons why. She said season 1 they didn't get paid that much money. They got paid $10,000, and I think for the reunion they only got $5,000. Season 2, season 3 they didn't get paid to really season 4. She said without saying that they deserve more money in season 2 because they hit the they hit the show out of the park, the ball out of the park. The show was just like a hit instantly, but they weren't compensated for it until season 4. So she did say something about that. She said they asked her, you know, to act like Cynthia was her friend, that she didn't think that Cynthia would fit the show. However, when she met Peter, she understood why they wanted Cynthia on the show. Now, he asked her about being attracted to Peter. NeNe is denying that she was ever attracted to Peter or that she was flirting with Peter. I never flirted with Peter.
NeNe was flirting with Peter. She was flirting with
flirted with Peter. Now don't go there.
People accuse you of flirting
well, I don't
with him.
give a damn what they accuse me of. I have never flirted with Peter.
Everybody said you flirted with Peter. If you don't want to own it, that's fine.
Everybody
if you don't want to own it, that's fine.
I never flirted with Peter. Let's be very
about showing your character.
Me, Peter, Cynthia, and Greg were friends.
Yes, you are. For the second time.
Flirted with Peter. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Yeah, people said it.
Peter. Ex Peter. Okay?
Girl, NeNe, girl. I know what I saw with my 2 eyes. You may not want to admit it, but you and Peter had a friendly relationship. Just like Andy said, it was innocent. But y'all did have some banter back and forth. A little flirty banter. NeNe would never admit it, but we know what we saw. I want to ask Peter. Carlos should have asked Peter that question. I don't know if he did because I didn't watch Peter's whole interview, but he should ask Peter, did they flirt? Now that he's divorced from Cynthia. I think they did. Then she talked about Phaedra coming on the show in season 3. It was Phaedra and Cynthia. And in the beginning, you know, she didn't want Phaedra on the show.
How you doing? I thought it was very strange that Phaedra was there. This is an event for the most fabulous ladies in Atlanta, like me and Sheree and Kim. I don't know Phaedra that well, but what I've seen of Phaedra, I ain't never seen fabulous. I see plain Jane from Athens, but when we talk about fabulosity, I don't see it.
She didn't think that Phaedra should be on the show. She thought it was her baby, and Phaedra's from Athens. Why are you coming over there trying to steal her thunder? That was her reasoning. If y'all, I don't know if Carlos is going to talk about Candy, but let me just give y'all this exclusive. You heard it here first, okay? On this channel, why I believe NeNe never really cared for Candy. This is just my opinion. Let me just state that. This is my opinion. I believe NeNe never cared for Candy because she felt like the show was supposed to be about housewives, you know, ladies that nobody knew about. But Candy came on the show, and Candy was in the industry. And it would take away, basically it would change the dynamics of the show, because this lady is in the industry, so she could bring other industry people on it, and that's not what the show was supposed to be about. It wasn't even the fact that Candy wasn't married. That's not an issue, because if it was a married lady in the industry, I don't think NeNe would have wanted them on the show. NeNe may never admit it, but that's the reason why she really did not care for Candy, because she felt like Candy being on the show changed the dynamics, because it wasn't a show about people in the music industry, like actors or actresses. It was like a show for people that nobody knew and housewives, not people that was already famous in their own right. And that's the difference now with the housewife shows that I'm sorry that I do not like. No offense, because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to take money out of people's pocket. But I think that's where the show has an issue. Drew was already famous. Kenya was already famous. I mean, they're not famous like big A-list celebrity, but people know them, especially in the black community. Well, no offense to Drew, and this is no shade. I really never seen anything that Drew was in. Dance movies, I really don't care for those movies. I never watched Step Up, or I never watched stuff like that. You Got Served and all that. So I never seen any of the movies that she was in. I never watched The Game. I didn't like that show. I never watched that. The only thing I've seen Drew in was the TLC movie. But anyway, Drew, we already know who Drew is. We already know Kenya, Miss Bozak from Martin. Sonya, she's a track star. Who else is on? Kim Fields, Living Single. You know, Tootie. If you think about it, that does change the dynamics of the show, because it's more about their celebrity than it is about what I think the basis of the show was, which is the reality of people's lives. You know, yes, we want to see the celebrities. This is what I feel. Celebrities ain't gonna give you but so much. Mine is Candy. You're not going to get a lot of their lives. They're used to doing one line of work, and they try to do reality. They're really not going to give you their reality. That's just my opinion. So, in a nutshell, I believe that's why she really didn't care for Candy. She may never admit it, but she felt like bringing Candy would change the whole dynamic of the show. And did it? I mean, now all they have is people that are already known about doing something. It's not people that we just don't know, completely don't know. It's like you almost gotta be in the industry to get on the show. That's just my opinion. She talked about her son Bryson, and how he has an addiction. And I hope everything goes well for him. She felt like on the show, she wished she hadn't chastised him in front of people. But, that was the authenticity about the show. Because I feel like NeNe was helping other people who had kids who were doing things that were not, appropriate. And it was showing other people, I'm human. And it made them human. I'm not the only one that's going through it. And yes, maybe saying the things that I didn't see anything wrong with it, but it hurt his feelings. So it don't have nothing to do with me. If it hurt his feelings, that's his mother, it hurt his feelings. But it was lessons for the viewing audience. And NeNe was very authentic when it came to that. When she said she didn't wish she went through the divorce with Greg on the show. Very authentic when her and Greg were getting into it. It was so authentic. That's why the show was so great in the beginning. I didn't see anything wrong with it, but she did, and it's her life, so we just got to take her at her word for that. He asked her, was being on TV, did that affect her marriage? She said it did. It really did, because Greg is old school. Greg was the breadwinner. Greg was the one that took care of everything. When she started making money, it made Greg feel some type of way. But I think that Greg eventually understood later, way later, after they got remarried. I took care of NeNe all these years. Okay, it's my time to kind of not relax, but it's okay for NeNe to make money too. We can go shopping, we can do things, and you can see how Greg kind of relaxed after. I think a light bulb went off in his head. And rest in peace of Greg. But because I really like Greg. They talked about how season 6 was the best season. That was a very cringy season. The ladies did. They gave they need an Oscar for that season. It really was a good season. And they asked NeNe, was she jealous of Kenya? I would say this. I'm gonna say this. I don't think NeNe was jealous of Kenya. I think NeNe, this is my opinion, I think NeNe felt like the network was bringing Kenya on to replace her. I just really believe that. So I don't think NeNe was jealous. I think NeNe was basically upset. She was upset, and then she took it out on Kenya.
Kenya, you shut the up, bitch.
You shut the up, bitch.
You shut the up. You shut the up.
very rude.
You can
In
pull up
fact, you
anything
said,
you want to pull
"Don't
up.
bring that
I'm
nasty
not going
bitch
to
around
talk to
me
you, but if
anymore."
you
And
want to
that
ask me a
happened
question
in
and you
Los
want me to
Angeles.
answer it, then I will answer the question, and I won't be interrupted, or we don't even have to talk about it. How about that?
No.
To talk to me,
Yes, sir.
whatever. And
You're
he
gone.
said to me later, "You know what? She was so nasty and so rude that I don't ever bring anybody around me like that."
So nasty.
And that's what happened.
So rude. So nasty and so rude.
Listen.
You give me my personal space. Let me tell you something.
No, let me
Listen to
tell
me.
you something,
As a grown
NeNe.
woman, I make my decisions. No bitch any friend that I have will never tell me who I can and cannot
And
talk
I'm
to.
not saying that. I'm saying as a friend, girl.
You know what? When I get ready to have an event, I'm not going to be thinking about whether Kenya's going to be uncomfortable or not. When I have my event, I'm going to be worried about how fabulous NeNe event's going to be.
Well, NeNe is going to be fabulous, and I'm going to be.
And it was better for her, and now that I'm thinking about it, to be Kenya's enemy than her friend. Because if she was Kenya's friend, then there would be no need for NeNe on the show. But if she became her enemy, they need that on the show. And that's why she always thought that Kenya should be on the show. That's just my opinion. It wouldn't have benefited NeNe to befriend Kenya. And that's why she probably never befriended her. Was she threatened by Kenya? I would say so. I mean, this girl coming to take my spot, you know, who's already an actress in her own right. Kenya did a lot of movies. She was on a lot of shows. So I could see how NeNe could feel some type of way being somebody who came from nothing, who was just a housewife. And it's like, girl, you can go and act in Hollywood. She eventually did. But at that time, you know, I'm just trying to get into Hollywood. I think if NeNe was more successful in Hollywood, I don't think NeNe would have came back to the Housewives. I really don't. I think she would have left the Housewives. So I think that was NeNe's reasoning. That's just me. That's my opinion. That's my opinion, not NeNe's. She also said she never thought Kenya was the star of the show. And is Kenya the star of the show? You know, I like Kenya, and Kenya has brought a lot to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. But this is no shade. When you think of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and the person that comes to mind is NeNe. Kenya doesn't come to mind when you talk about, for me, the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I like Kenya. I really do. But if I would have to choose, even though NeNe is not on the show, she comes to mind when I think of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She really does. NeNe comes to mind. Kenya is a star within her own right. Kandi doesn't even come to mind for me. And Kandi has been on the show for the longest. Well, right now, she's the longest, running housewife. I think Teresa is the longest OG. But Kandi is like the longest housewife right now. But Kenya is a star, but NeNe is the face of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Even though she's not there anymore, if you talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta, NeNe comes to mind. She said when Cynthia came on the show, Cynthia was very quiet, and they had dinner and everything. They hit it off. I don't know if I already talked about this. They hit it off, and she didn't know who Cynthia was. And this is no shade, but I didn't know who Cynthia was either. I'm being very honest. I didn't know she was a supermodel. The only people I knew was Tyra Banks, Naomi Campbell, Beverly Johnson. Who else? I didn't know who Cynthia Bailey was, and that's no shade. But they hit it off. And the friendship between them two was real. She loved Cynthia like a sister. And that was a real friendship. That was a real friendship. That really was a real friendship. She says that Cynthia, people don't really know who Cynthia is. And she's one way on camera, but Cynthia is really a different person. Let me just tell NeNe, I know who Cynthia, I'm sorry, it's nice nasty. You can tell Cynthia has a different side to her. I always knew that. Because when she was getting Phaedra together and Phaedra got up from that table, when she was getting Portia together, Cynthia gets people together, okay? She was getting NeNe together. So NeNe keeps saying, oh, y'all don't know 50 Cent. No, I know 50 Cent. Cynthia can get with you if you take her there. So she's not a pushover. I think that Cynthia, when Kenya befriended Cynthia, that really hurt NeNe's feelings, because NeNe and Kenya were not friends. And I think NeNe felt betrayed. I believe NeNe felt that if Kenya and Cynthia became friends, that's even more reason for her to be off the show, because now they're in an alliance. And what would they need NeNe for now? You know? I think that's why NeNe was so threatened about Kenya and Cynthia's friendship. NeNe said that Cynthia was trying to get her off the show. I don't know if it's truth to that, but I will say NeNe had no problem on Andy's show, Watch What Happens Live, saying her opinions about who should be gone from the show. Frick and fraud. I never said fired. You don't have to say fired, NeNe, to infer something. You inferred that they should be fired from the show. So NeNe, you saying Cynthia wanted you off the show, you did go down to I don't know who said it first, but you went down to Watch What Happens Live and said Cynthia doesn't bring nothing to the show. She doesn't bring anything to the show. And that was your friend, girl. That's like saying she should be fired. Andy was like, who you think should be gone? Oh, she doesn't bring anything to the show. So you can't cry wolf, NeNe. You can't be upset if Cynthia was trying to get you off the show. Maybe NeNe's upset that Cynthia was trying to do it discreetly behind her back, but NeNe said I was up front with mine. Maybe that's the issue, but clearly NeNe had no problem going down to the Watch What Happens Live and saying her opinion about people. Absolutely not. NeNe said she felt like she wasn't supported by the girls when she was on the show or production. I guess as being the original housewife. I don't know how true that is. I think people really, she said they always came after her. They always came for her. And I'm trying to think if they all came for her. Because NeNe was the HBIC at one point. NeNe was. People, and Kenya was trying to be NeNe's friend. A lot of people were, except for Candy, except for Sheree, except for Kim. Yeah, they were coming for NeNe. Everybody was kind of against NeNe at one point, but that's just the name of the game. They asked her about Ryan Murphy. She said they're in a good place. Honestly, I don't know what happened with NeNe's acting career, but I'll guess that when the stuff was going on with Bravo, maybe NeNe behind the scenes started talking, they blackballed her. That's the only thing I could think of, because it happened so abruptly. That she was doing different shows. I never saw any of them. The New Normal, and what was the other one? Glee. The New Normal and Glee. And then all of a sudden, the shows got canceled, but nobody ever wanted to work with her again. I don't know what that is about. Because NeNe said when she used to go on her trailer, she would just want water and her check. And that's it. But something happened. Why they don't want to work with NeNe. And maybe she was doing stuff behind the scenes at Bravo. I don't know. But it's like NeNe has been blackballed. She's been blackballed. That was pretty much the interview. It was a good interview. It's nice seeing NeNe refreshed. It looks like she's refreshed, more calm, more poised, more put together, more pulled together. And the thing, let me just tell you, the thing that I really like about NeNe is that NeNe doesn't mind speaking her mind, good, bad, or indifferent. Maybe that's to her own demise, but she doesn't mind speaking her mind, and I think that's why she's a star. She says it like she means it. You know, she's really missed on the show. But I think all good things come to an end. So it's time for her to move on to her next chapter. Maybe Carlos has a show for her. Maybe Carlos can come up with a show on own for NeNe. Keeping it real with NeNe. Something like that, okay? I remember when NeNe was on the 11 and Live. Yeah. Keeping it real with NeNe. Anyway, so that's my review of NeNe and Carlos' interview. So I'm going to review part 2 when it comes out. He said August 1st? Carlos, August 1st at 9 a.m. Why so, Carlos? If you don't put that interview out, August 1st is like a week away. Put the interview out. But it's smart. But put the interview out the next day. You should have put the interview out one night at 8, the next night at 8. Got me waiting till August 1st. But I'll see y'all in part 2 of the interview. Bye.
Cheers to the girls' weekend.